Hello, and welcome to Gallifrey's Most Wanted. I'm Ross Aiken. I'm Old Who.
Only seems like yesterday a few naked Greek blokes were tossing a discus about, wrestling with each other in the sand as the crowd stood around baying.
And I'm Victoria Wheeler. I'm new.
No, wait a minute. That was Club Med.
And we're the land of David Tennant. That's kind of apropos since there's a lot of David Tennant floating out in the interwebs. We'll probably discuss that very quickly, folks. But we're going to be doing the penultimate tale, because there's a two-parter after it, but I consider that one story, of season 2, first Tennant season and the last Rose season. And we've got Fear, which was a replacement story, and I have not watched it in years, so I'm looking forward to talk about it. So let's jump to the synopsis, and we'll be right back. Fear Her, episode number 2.09. Writer, Matthew Graham. Director, Euros Lynn. Producers, Julie Gardner, Russell T. Davies. Originally aired the 24th of June, 2006. The Doctor and Rose arrive in London on the day of the 2012 Olympics opening ceremony. They discover children have been going missing from an ordinary street, although it is unseasonably cold and passing cars keep stalling. The Doctor can sense residual ionic energy, and while he and Rose investigate, they witness a cat disappearing, a cat just like the one drawn by Chloe Webber, sitting alone in her bedroom. She gets angry at the drawings of unhappy children on her wall and scribbles on a piece of paper, a scribble that then attacks Rose. The Doctor analyzes it and finds it is pencil graphite. They ask Trish Webber about her daughter, of whom she is clearly frightened. While the Doctor questions Chloe, Rose looks around her bedroom and discovers an angry drawing of Chloe's abusive late father in the closet. They realize Chloe is using ionic energy to capture people in her drawings. She has been possessed by the Isolus spore that was separated from its siblings, whose empathic link it relies on. Alone, it was drawn to Chloe's loneliness and has been trying to gather a new family. The Doctor returns to the TARDIS to trace the Isolus travel pod, but both disappear when Chloe draws them because the Isolus does not want to leave her. Rose deduces the heat-seeking pod is in the pothole that has just been filled with hot tarmac and digs it out. But Chloe has captured the entire audience at the Olympic Stadium and then suddenly begins drawing the whole world. Rose reactivates the pod by throwing it into the Olympic torch as it is carried past the street, and the Isolus leaves Chloe to rejoin its family. The missing children are returned, but the drawing of Mr. Webber is also incarnated, until Chloe and her mum's newfound closeness dissipates the remaining ionic energy. When the torch carrier collapses, the Doctor takes over and lights the Olympic flame, giving the pod enough energy to return to space. That was another synopsis from the New Who program guide by Paul Smith, with a foreword by the master himself, Jean-Marc L'Officier. All right, that was a lovely synopsis from the program guide by Paul Smith. I'm going to start on this one. I like this one better this time. I don't think it... I still think it is, you can tell it's a late replacement. It's probably not as it's not, and maybe it's just the quality of the Davies scripts in seasons 1 and 2 are so good that it's, how do you judge it? You know what I mean? Because there are far worse stories. I'm a Moffat fan, and there are stories, from his era that I think are far worse than this one.
Yeah. I mean, my take on it is that Moffat is a guy who throws it up against the wall, right? Like, he just throws it out there, and it hits or it doesn't, and he's sort of okay with that, but he takes a lot of risks, right?
Yeah. He's definitely not as strategic as Davies.
And Davies is, I'm going to edit this down 5 times. And in fact, I think About Time told us this was that early on, it was describing one variation that this story took, and that was only the 5th edit, right? Like, there's that many edits, and it changed multiple times before it finished, and so there's so much control in Davies, right? And About Time, I think, is correct that this is not a risk-taking season.
I think he's a little
The
safer with it. I agree with that
yeah,
take. I think because
yeah,
it wasn't originally planned for the actor who's in it, even though they
yeah,
knew well in advance who the
yeah,
replacement was, because Eccleston told
yeah,
them early, and
yeah.
Davies and Gardner were just, let's just go have dinner with David and offer him the job.
Right.
Because, I mean, he had his audition piece. Davies likes to use people basically.
Yeah, yeah,
If he likes you, he uses you again and again. It's the John Ford thing. It's the Frank Capra
yeah,
thing. It's the Preston
yeah,
Sturgis thing.
yeah.
Use who people you want to sit down and spend 9 months with and not want to punch in the face. You
Right.
know, and I think and I think Julie Gardner is an incredibly good producer, and Phil Collison is too. I think that this is the
Right.
dream team. I think
Yeah,
they
yeah.
are the dream team. It's well polished. Is it my favorite of modern Who? No, because I'm a Moffat guy. I like blowhard, flowery, overwritten stuff. It
Right.
hits my sweet spot. But I think Russell Davies, when it comes to creating stories, not producing. I mean, you know what I mean. I think Moffat's
Mhm.
probably a better. I think Chibnall's a little more polished of a producer because he doesn't care about any of the promotion. You know, but
Yeah.
Davies is very. It's just he does, man. I've read that. You haven't never read it, but the book about him writing that his final season.
I no, I've read the introduction to it. I'm holding on to it until we get to that final season.
Oh, good, good. And you got the
Right?
unabridged. Is it the soft
I
cover?
think
The
so.
soft
Yeah.
cover?
No, no.
Okay.
I think it's the
That's the
hardcover.
abridged.
Okay. Well, I'll live.
Yeah, you will. Oh, yeah. I read them both, and the abridged was
Yeah.
better as having absorbed the basis of it, and then going
Uh
and
huh.
like when you get a good director's cut movie, like
Right.
Aliens, where you go, oh,
Right.
why in the hell did you cut all that out? This movie makes so much more sense. But the book is like that. It's like, oh, it's a lot more of the minutia, the day to day.
Well,
So
but this is I think you're right about him working with uh the actors that he trusts, and like he's got this Nina Sosanya in the role of Trish, the mom.
she's in Casanova. She got a huge part
She's
in
in
Nova. Yeah,
Casanova, yeah. She
she's
plays.
done a bunch
She
of.
produ-
I've seen
Yeah.
her on a short list for the Doctor more than once. Her name
Oh,
pop up. She'd be great at it.
well, she'd be great at it. She's in Staged. I can't. She doesn't. I don't remember. She doesn't play their agent. I think she might play their manager. Um,
Okay, see, I haven't watched
she's.
Stage yet, and
Oh my God, it's
I
so good.
love Michael Sheen. I
It's so
fucking
good.
adore him.
It's so good, and it might be the best. When it's all said and done, it might be the best encapsulation of what the pandemic was like.
I think
Um,
Georgia Moffat. I loved her tweets during pandemic.
no,
I
yeah, I
mean,
mean her tweets are good anyway, but yeah, but she, oh, it was great. There was one, somebody said, she retweeted somebody that said she wasn't believable as Tennant's wife.
oh my God, what was her response? Did
Okay.
she
No, she just
tweeted it?
retweeted it.
My favorite tweet was the one she sent with the caption, how many doctors does it take to change a light bulb? And it's David
Right.
and Peter changing a light bulb, and not stage. They were probably just doing it like a father-in-law and a son-in-law would, and she came out of the kitchen and goes, oh fuck, internet fodder.
Well, I mean, the other thing is she is fully on this train. Is that the next Doctor,
Mhm.
right? At some point, Ty needs to be the next Doctor. It's the only way,
Oh God,
right?
Peter's other. It's not Ty. What's not Ty, but Peter's oldest son, her brother,
Yeah, yeah.
was had a huge part in Stranded, the Eighth Doctor, four
Uh-huh.
box sets. Wonderful. He is
Yeah,
absolutely one you will love. When you get to that set, you will love it. And I would say just jump ahead. You don't really need. You could
yeah,
because it is
yeah,
because of the setting it in Earth and blah blah blah. It was and having the first trans character companion who is
yeah,
wonderful, and I'm a big Liv fan.
yeah,
It's just and he is wonderful. It's just and they have to recast the curator.
Right.
So Colin,
But
yeah, because Tom, I think they're not recording with Tom anymore. I think they finished, and
yeah.
Colin
Well,
stepped in.
but Ty is now Ty Tennant, right?
Yeah, yeah,
He's fully
yeah, yeah.
he's adopted and carrying David's name, and so it would be the best. But going back to this Nina Sosonia, I mean, she has been in everything from Love Actually, right?
Oh
To
God, is she the
uh,
secretary or something? Oh no
I
no no
don't,
no no, she's the head. She's the prime minister's primary secretary.
but I mean, even just in the last couple of years, what will resonate for people? She's in Killing Eve, she's in Good Omens, she's in Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, she's in Brave New World, she's in His Dark Materials.
She's working basically for Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner because half of those shows are produced by Bad Wolf.
And she's also good, reliable, right? So she's great, and she does Trish a service, right? Because there is a rough existence that this woman has because she has just decided to put the past behind her and move forward, thinking that that is best for her child, believing it's probably also best for her. And so she is in denial, and she's not helping her child, but believes that she is, and that's an easy place for a parent to be. And it's the way that she plays it is so correct.
It's very subtle
right?
too.
It is. It's very subtle. There is a shift in this that she has to embody, and she's great.
She makes these shifts too from when she's being the good neighbor at the beginning, but when she goes in that house, her entire body posture changes.
Yeah.
My problems with this is more the script than the performances
Yeah.
and the concept. I like the idea. I just think it was maybe it needed more. I don't know what it was missing, but there's something about it.
Well, I'm not going to throw Abisola. Let's see, her last name is Agbagji or Abahe. I can't tell if the J is pronounced as a hard J or not. But this Abisola, and I think she ultimately went by Sola, whereas my daughter's best friend is Abby. But she is given all the hard work, and it doesn't matter who you are. As a child, that's a mistake, right? And that's the one place that I will just place it on the team and say, you can't make all the hard work go, you can't put that on a child. She's carrying everything and she's doing her damnedest, but has never acted again. And part of that is because has got to be because this is one of the most maligned episodes of Doctor Who ever. Right? Like her experience she wasn't set up for success in this, and because all of the heavy lifting is on her, and that's a mistake. It's got to be a mistake that somebody with Davy's experience can tell, because she's expected to be otherworldly and carry the emotive weight of the story. And it's just
hard. It's really hard. You child actors, sometimes there are child actors you could put a lot of weight on, but not.
But there's
they tend
a handful of them.
Oh no, it's only a handful of actors you can put a movie on their shoulders. You know what I mean? You can see the good ones that someone's carrying it. I'm a Jeff Bridges fan. He's made some bad movies, but he's never bad. And the movie is always 4 or 5 times better because he's taking as much of it on his back as he can. But
no, I mean they succeed in doing it with Millie Bobby Brown, right?
That's a once in a lifetime kind of thing.
That's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah, it is.
Well, and
then when they probably auditioned her, they probably knew it.
The people who are the people who are working on the show right now are talking about one of the other kids. the little redhead, and I'm trying to get to her name.
Susie Sink. Last name is Sink. I can't remember. Sadie Sink. Yes.
Sadie
Sink. We just watched episode 1 of season 4, so I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but all this is her heavy lifting season, right?
Yeah.
And they say that she's capable of it. Winona Ryder called it the next Meryl Streep, but it's just it takes a kid and it takes a set and it takes an environment and it takes right. And none of those things were set up in this because it was a replacement story, and it just, it had a good opportunity. I mean, it's also a bit of a lazy move to just take that disappearing child thing, like that's the new bogey man, right?
Well, I don't know. I thought about that because it's also talking about abuse.
Absolutely.
Yeah, about emotional.
But it can't actually take it.
Yeah, it's about emotional abuse.
Yeah.
And how that scars you, and how the mom is. That's why I think her, like you were saying, her performance is so good. It is so subtle.
Yeah.
That she's damaged, and she's like when she finds out the drawing of her ex-husband's in the closet, and she's angry. Mm-hmm. Because that thing, and I think it's a wonderful little scene for her because you get it's like I got us away from him. Why are you bringing him back in? Don't I'm what have I and it's also and there's a underpinning in that delivery for me that I get. How did I fail that you don't see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did I do it wrong? That you want to be with him and not me? That you do not see what he was?
Right.
How did I not? And that's a hard thing. And I mean,
right.
I had little flashbacks, not because there was abuse in my family, that just at the divorce part, the separation, and at that age, why is it happening?
Yeah.
And mom and dad trying to handle it as best they could. In my family, one better than the other, but I got both tacks. One handled it badly, one handled it.
No, right.
So I could see that in her performance, and I think that kind of.
It does.
This has been the good
story.
one for a Dr. Light. I don't think there's not a Dr. Light in this season.
Right.
So you could have had the doctor and just had Rose be the person figuring it out, or another way to do it. But because I think it is rushed. They have to write in why it's set.
It feels that way. No, and it feels that way, and it doesn't. None of it makes sense, but. Right, and it's one of the things we talk about all the time is that the Doctor Who, it doesn't have to make sense. It's everybody lives, right? Like that's the point. Yeah. But it's not. This one doesn't work as well, and it's some missed opportunities, and it's the one sort of flat note in this series. It does hold up. It doesn't look dated.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
No,
it doesn't. It
because
doesn't
it's so simple a story.
It is. It's so simple a story.
And that street is a set, if I read that right. And like it said, or they looked at because it looked like a specific set. I don't know. But that street is, those houses still look like those houses. The cars haven't changed. Right. You're not seeing the drastic stuff, even though it's, 15 years old.
Yeah.
I'm watching all these now we had to get Ann, my mother-in-law, a new TV. We had to go help her get it when we were down in Winston-Salem and hang it. But her old one, I got. It's like 54 inches. It can't update. It's Hulu or it's Netflix. I don't care. It's going in my office, which is where I watch physical media. And I watch this on it, and I'm like, ooh.
Right.
That is that they weren't using high def yet, and the colors are a little, and it's just, you're not supposed to see it that close up. I had it playing on my phone this morning while I was reading About Time. Off off my Dropbox copy, and I went, okay, that looks much better, and then I went, oh, but it's just that the devices we watch. It's
on a 7-inch screen.
Yeah.
Screen,
it's kind of like, technology has outpaced some of the cameras and stuff, but it's such a simple story, and I like the cast. It's got a good cast. I didn't know who the old lady was, but I knew she was famous, and then I Googled her today.
Yeah, Edith Norrie or whatever her name is.
She was she was on EastEnders and a bunch of stuff.
Edna, they said she's been in every single thing that calls for an old lady who's crazy.
Yeah.
And and she died in 2014. But she's yeah. Let's see how many Midsummer uh, credits she gets. But
Death County.
she's
Let's just rename it the Death Counties.
yeah. I mean, it's literally all the tropes, and it's not a terrible story. It's just pales in comparison to the other stuff that goes
And what
on
was right before
in
this one? Well,
Love and
which
Monsters.
I like. Which I like.
I do too. I don't understand the hate for it.
Because
That's the
it's
Dr.
silly.
Light one.
People
That's the
sometimes,
Dr. Light one.
that people. That's one thing in fandoms, and sometimes you have to do a comedy episode. It helps. And I think I personally think if you're going to do a long season, like an American length season, you need to put some comedy in there. And I think, and good shows, dramas. I'm a big Deep Space Nine fan, and they would do a bunch of comedy. They would do at least 2-3 comedy, but they were the only people who could do a comedy. The other series have always tried and failed. You have to have the right writers and stuff like that, and there are Rockford Files that are more funny when it's what's that the Stuart Marglin's character would be prominent. Yeah. If he was involved in the plot, they would go, okay, now we're going to let Jim Gardner do what he does. He's funny. Let's let him be funny.
It's this one, it is a low ebb in an otherwise excellent season. It's not, like I said, the thing it's cautious. That's the thing. Like, it's cautious. If they could have gone greater in the emotional life of the child, why she was snatching those children away, right? Or
she's a little too zombie, like I am been possessed, blah blah. It's like because the kids, I think that opening teaser is great because you see this fear in the kids in the drawing.
Yeah.
So that they're freaked out.
The fear in the drawing and the parents freaking out and right now. I mean, in reality, you wouldn't just put up missing children signs, right? There would be.
If you had 4 or 5 kids in a single block, there'd be grilling, man. They'd have every parent in there. They'd be so far up everybody's back end because we have a serial killer.
Right.
The Olympics wouldn't be going. You know what I mean? They'd be doing.
Right. We can't have this in our city at any point, but we really can't have it now. And so there's just a few posters up, and that
the neighbors aren't even freaked out about it.
Well,
is that supposed to? There's a time. Is there a time jump?
As they're walking up, and Rose sees these couple of posters and gets really disturbed by it. Like, well, that's a bit much, right? Like, would she even notice some posters tacked on it, right? Like,
I look, but only if they're missing pets in the city. I always see it. It's like, no one lost your cat.
Yeah. So it's I don't know. Yeah, it feels like a replacement, and we have that now because we have so much backstory to this. We do have that excuse.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's an excuse.
I think it's the one in the rewatch where it's like you're doing a rewatch. You finish Love and Monsters, and this starts and goes, well, I'm going to make dinner. You've gone in the background. Because it's not one I'm just going to Jones and go, I want to watch it.
It's a little flat. Yeah. It's just, it winds up being a little flat. But I like about Time's Take that it's cautious. And why? Right? You don't need to be cautious. And I think by season 3, he's lifted that restriction on himself, right? Like he does the Runaway Bride, and then he does like right, and so you get to see more of the universe of Doctor Who.
And I think his team is more in a groove. You get the special effects guys. That's like, I've got all the equipment we need now, so we can do more because
We'll fly the TARDIS next to a car. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Right.
Because remember when that was the big thing,
Yeah.
It's still one of the best shots ever. I still think it's one of.
It's great. No, I know it's really well done. But anyway, it's just kind of flat and it's kind of cautious and it's a replacement and we get it. And the one thing that might be a newer critique is this. Come on, guys, you put it all on this kid. And you gotta. you gotta be more responsible.
Yeah, if you're
now,
gonna write for a
right?
kid, pick the kid you're gonna write for, and then write it. I think
Yeah,
the kid in who's now a big star in the Family of Blood one in next
yeah,
season,
I know.
Is it Freddie Highmore?
Yeah,
Love Actually.
yeah, yeah.
Another Love Actually
Well,
veteran.
yeah.
And,
He's in all of the Nanny McPhee stories. He
oh,
does a lot,
yeah. Oh,
and
he's a lead. He's
he's
like
been.
in his mid
Mhm.
20s now or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you can't tell it's
But
him. It was weird. Last time I saw him, I went, "Well, you grew
but
into that
it's
big ass head."
right. But but that was a complete story,
Yeah. Oh, that's a
and
well. Yeah.
he doesn't have,
And
and it's not all on him,
no, just this. Yes,
right?
very small scenes are on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
So it doesn't feel fair. And when I Googled her and saw that that's the only thing she ever did, I was set, right? Because it felt like, because this has never been well loved,
Yeah.
right? This has never been well loved. This has been the most maligned story of the first, of the second Doctor, of the Davies era. This is one of the ones that's always on the list of the worst, and it's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel
Yeah.
fair. Is my, and like I said, there's an Abisola in my life, and I was very upset for her. So but anyway, it's not bad.
It's not bad. No, it's an
It's an
entertaining.
okay
It
watch.
does what
It's an
it does what
entertaining watch.
Doctor's basically supposed to do: be mildly entertaining and have a monster.
And scare
Yeah,
children,
and
right?
I think there's something about. I love the scene where Rose opens a closet and the picture of the dad, and the camera pans down to the fist,
Yeah,
and that's all you need to know.
yeah,
It's just a beautiful camera
yeah,
shot.
right.
It works perfectly fine.
Right. And if they did this in 3 weeks, right? If they did it in 5 weeks, if they did, right, like if they came up with this story, like this is a lot like growing up. When we grew up, Stairway to Heaven was one of those songs that everybody thought was brilliant, and I could never really understand what people thought about it. I really couldn't. I was like, why do you think arpeggios make it fancy, right? That do 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 do, but why? It's not fancy. It's slowing down the hard stuff. And so, finally, I read a story like in Rolling Stone or something that for Led Zeppelin 4, which I think is the right album, they had these drug problems and they hadn't gotten a album out, and they were under contract, and it was a deadline, right? They had to complete a fourth album by, right?
Or be in
And so
breach and have to pay back some of the
yeah,
advance.
yeah. And so they got them all, they like kidnap them and take them to a castle with a studio in it, right? And so they're like, they force them into this, and it's nearing the deadline, right? And they've literally sent the first side of the vinyl off to start pressing, right? So they get the first side in, and they're trying to force a final song and they're like, okay, we need a 2.5 minute song or 3, whatever. Maybe it was
It's like a 4-minute song. It's a long song.
So they were like, we've got to fill 4 minutes at the end. And so Jimmy Page picks up his guitar and just starts playing these arpeggios, right? They're chords that are broken down and played each note individually. And Plant wanders over and says, there's a lady who's sure, right? And all that glitter, right? And they made it up on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's a good story, right? If that's the conditions under which they wrote it, it is genius, right?
Oh, no.
If you spent 2 years trying to perfect a song, right, and you had it in the back of your head, and that's what you come up with, I'm not going to give you the best grade, right? But if you had, 30 minutes and you guys made that's great, right? And that's kind of how I feel about her. Like this is that you got to get a good grade for like having a condensed window.
Oh yeah, because
right?
it's that thing I talk about with theater, about serendipity, being forced to do something quickly and artistically makes you, sometimes you will make daring decisions that are horrible, but or the ones where you're like, oh, let's just do that, and everybody goes, okay, we got it. This one is not one of them. Stairway to Heaven is yet, it's like the perfect radio song of 19.
But it's still, no, I know, but it's still one of those things that if you grade it alongside all the other obsessive compulsive Davies stories, it doesn't fare as well. It doesn't. But if you show that it is done in this compressed time frame, right? And yet they still manage things like the TARDIS opens the wrong way, Schrodinger's cat goes into a box and isn't there, right? Like they have these little beats, and they manage things like Nina Sosonia's really brilliant performance as Trish, right? The kid holding her own, and that great and terrifying monster in the closet that's shown once.
And I just looked. I couldn't remember who the director is. Eros Lynn, who is a really good director.
Right. They said he did this one right after Idiot's Lantern, right? Yeah. Which has very similar elements.
Yeah.
Right? It's the big London party, right?
The old lady, grandma. Yeah, I kept getting confused. This was the woman that was in Doctor Who in the 60s, but it's the grandma in Idiot's Lantern is from Fury in the Deep. So, no, it's.
So I would take this. I would take this grade.
Over Kill the Moon.
Well, yeah.
Hell.
But again,
I'd take it over the next Peter Capaldi we're watching too.
I mean, again, but it reflects the difference between the serious taskmaster that Davies is, and Moffat might have thrown Stephen Fry's story out there, right? Davies is the one who rejects the incompleteness of the Stephen Fry story.
He's not writing your script for you.
Right.
He's going to do a rewrite, but he wants something to be usable. He wants a good acorn.
But you never know. Moffat would be like, he'll throw it out there, and he takes chances. I think he did that with some of his
own scripts,
Yes, I know. I think he does it with his own more than he does it with other people's. But because he's a risk taker, and he'll throw it out there, and we'll see.
That's why he doesn't do in his early seasons. Doesn't do two-parters. They're harder work. Because you got 90 minutes to fill, and sometimes in a 45, it's that extra 30 minutes really.
What Moffat's so good at is covering up the lack of a plot with great dialogue.
I got a hole in the plot. Let's talk. Yeah, I know, and I get it.
No, I've got great things to say. I'd rather have the great things to say, because these are good lines. I'm not throwing them away. We don't need the plot. Yeah. Right? Like, you never know with him with it. But he throws it up against the wall, whereas Davies is obsessive and controlling about it. And they both get quality. But I think it's just a different method.
And I think all three showrunners are like that. I think Chibnall is, like, with his own stuff, is very meticulous.
He is.
And with Doctor Who, I think he was too. He was also, he wanted the surprise and the secret, and he spent a lot of energy keeping stuff in. If someone was, because they're shooting so much stuff.
He cares a lot about how it hits.
Yeah. He wants. He's like, okay. Best thing is me. I've designed a set for a play called Two Boys in Bed on a Cold Winter Night, and I designed a set, no walls, just pieces of rooms cut up. And then the actors worked on different platforms. Like the living room is very small with just a chair and a stereo. The bedroom is big, and the bed's huge, and it's raked. And there's a bathroom that just has a shade behind it so they can go and you can see the silhouette of them peeing. Stuff like that. Very abstract. But I wanted the set to be set pristine at the top of the show. And they're going, but the play starts with them naked in bed. I said, then that's your problem. So I told the director, said, then why don't you have them enter through the house, making out, tearing each other's clothes off, go to black, and then open the play. And he went, because the audience comes into this pristinely kept bed, center stage, in a spotlight, in a glow. So what's going on? So
Uh-huh.
instead of only seeing the conversation after a one night stand, you see the one
Right.
night stand, even if it's for 30
Right.
seconds. So
Even, yeah.
so you know
Not
what I
even,
mean? And
yeah.
then because
Yeah.
that's it. It's all about how it hit. So I designed the set and I
Uh-huh.
said, this is going to help you get that.
Right.
It's going to flesh out the story without them
Yeah.
doing anything. And he said it and he went, thank you. That was the best thing. And the play's a rough script. And it was like,
Uh-huh.
it has failings. How do we fix the
Uh-huh.
failings?
Right.
One
Right.
is to
And
flesh it
I
out.
just think that that's how Chibnall focuses on, I want to say, the dramaturgy of it, right? Like he's
Structure
got
is- yeah.
he's got very much the big picture and the structure in mind. And whereas, I mean, and Davy's brief was different. Davy's brief was bring this back and hope it succeeds.
Yeah.
That's
Take
a
your
very
mindset
different-
and take all the
Yeah.
Doctor Who that is in your head, because he is my level nerd and
Right.
Jeff's
Right.
level nerd,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
put it into how would it work in a modern setting,
Yeah.
and it works.
Right.
And he's also a little bit more of a showman. He wants to go out and talk about stuff. Moffat does too, but not to this point. But I mean, Davies, when they started shooting on set, since they were going to shoot the 60th,
Yeah.
it's going to be seen in the public, because I'm not
right.
hiding this at night. We're not doing all
Right.
these scenes at night. We're going to put it out there, which means we're going to be
Right.
seen.
Right.
So I have to get
No,
ahead of it.
And he's part and parcel of the social media campaign where it's 2 hearts plus the diamond,
Oh.
right? 2 hearts plus plus everything. And it's great. It's great fun. And he likes it and he enjoys all of that. And he enjoyed walking the red carpet with Scooty, right? Like he has all of it.
And it's I think he's honest and genuine,
Yep.
but I also think he
Mhm.
knows what he's doing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
He's got a little more John Nathan Turner in him than anyone else.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. And
Yeah.
Well,
because his job was to, like I said, his brief was different. You sell this thing,
mm-hmm.
right, and make it stick, right? That's a very different job than let's move it forward, or let's
he basically had the
let's sort of reboot, or right, like it's very different, because it was sell this thing that has become, and this you may take umbrage with, but sell this thing that has become a British punchline.
Oh yeah, I think it was. It was,
Right.
it was for American fans. Yes, it was like, oh, it's that silly little cheap show.
Right, exactly.
And it's like, yeah, oh no, I get you. And also, I think he had the weight on his shoulders over, say, by the time he left, he didn't have to worry. But those first,
Right.
Recreating it, then showing a regeneration almost immediately, then get rid of your top star.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot in those first 4 seasons.
I wouldn't want to be anywhere near you if you were bringing this show back.
No.
The stress that you'd be under.
I can't
would
imagine,
be
because I
unbearable.
see the only thing that stressful is when Moffat had to write 50th.
I don't even know that.
But
there was
that's
more
one
stress.
episode. That's one
That's
episode.
one
This is
episode.
3 years, is what I want to say. Is Moffat,
Yeah.
when he probably sat down to write, I'm writing the 50th anniversary, I think I just pooped a bit.
Yeah.
But Davies is like, but see, I think that's why Davies, I want to give some more credit to Jane Trainer and Julie Gardner. Jane Trainer knew who she was asking when she wanted, because it was her idea to bring it back, and her idea, but twice she had to ask him twice. I mean, there was a start, and that her thing is it has to be Russell Davies, and Julie Gardner's going to be in charge. But yeah, she picked Julie Gardner and Phil Collinson and put the team aside so Davies could focus on story. This was a very put together, and this is still in that basically season 1 and 2 are one, in my mind, probably one big mass production block and focus. They had to get through the Rose story, because I mean, there was no guarantee that Rose was, someone was leaving at the end of Parting in the Ways. If Eccleston had stayed, it may have been Billy Piper left.
Yeah.
Because it's not for Jack. The title is not for Jack. But I enjoyed it this time. It was entertaining. I watched it twice in 2 days, and it didn't bug me. There's there are other ones when we rewatch them, like, I cannot watch this one twice.
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
can't.
No, this one this one actually does do fine as a rewatch.
Yeah.
It's not as for a much maligned episode. It's not bad.
I'm watching it the first time going, this is nowhere near as bad as we beat this thing up for being.
Exactly.
There have been worse episodes. There have been worse episodes.
This is the Stairway to Heaven of Davies' 4 seasons.
Yeah, well, I think of his 4 seasons, it's the weakest of his.
Well, I mean, I think the Dr. Dobie. That to me it hits hard. Like, I have a rough time with that one. But there's other aspects of that Dr. Light story that I think save it.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm more looking forward to watching that with you once we get to Martha again, because you had one take on Martha the first time and a different take the second time.
The second time, yeah.
So, and I think she's an underrated companion. I think the problem is the writing, not her.
Yep.
So that's it. We got a little Doctor Who news. We'll talk about this because it's we haven't talked about the future, but that Neil Patrick Harris is going to play the big bad in the 60th anniversary episodes, and that we know who he's playing. There's no doubt, unless it's a double switch. They're bringing back a villain that I like, and they're getting rid of the problematic part of his name, the Toymaker. So, and Jeff posted he's been seen. They posted a picture of him in one costume because the next day he was out on set in white tie tails and a top hat, dancing with David Tennant. With this weird makeup, and they sent a picture of it in black and white, and Jeff goes, "Is it me, or would you love to see an entire episode in black and white?" I said, "I would love that. Give me a Doctor Who where it's all done in black and white."
Yeah.
But it's Neil Patrick.
Because the makeup that he's in is black and white makeup. It's the silent
movie,
film.
Yeah. So
makeup, but he's I've also seen people guessing that he's the Valyard.
Yeah, but then again, if it was a woman guest star, they said it was a damn Ronnie.
I know.
It's the bet I never take.
I know.
I think it's Toymaker. I think it's a great. Well, Chibnall name dropped him in the that episode in his middle season with the 2 monsters, the one about mental health that really Can They Hear Me, which is one of my favorite all time. It is probably my favorite single Chibnall episode because that mental health part and the villains, because I like the big operatic, the Eternals. I like it when the Doctor meets the people more powerful than even the Time Lords.
That's the one with the frog, right?
No, that's Cat. That's something else. No, this is the one with the dream, the nightmares. It's giving people nightmares, and the guy's fingertips come off and go in your ears. And the other god was inside the planets, and they're going to feed on human fear.
Got it.
But it's also the one where you see that Yaz had thought of suicide, and had been the reason she was a police officer is because a police officer talked her down. Yeah. So, and I just love that episode.
So, yeah, no, you're right. That's an excellent episode. The as long as it's not the one with the frog, which is a great episode until the frog's there. Saw somebody explain that that's their favorite episode on Twitter the other day, and I was like, but that's
every Doctor Who is someone's favorite episode. Fear Her is probably someone's favorite episode.
Fear Her is probably somebody's favorite because it hits for them. Yeah. But anyway, so what's going on with the 60th? Beyond that, have we talked about the new Yasmin, the actor Yasmin? I don't think we have.
No.
That the new companion. Is named
Rose, but she's in scenes with Donna's husband. They have the actor come back, Sylvia, and so we're thinking, and it's Rose Temple Noble. She's named after Rose. Yeah, which is good because how does Donna, who has no memory, know that name? Right. I'm looking forward to it. Right. I mean, my take is
I am too, but the idea is that she might be the new companion with the new Doctor.
We don't know. It could just be with this. It is.
But her name is Yasmin. The actor's name.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it. She's in. oh God, not
Heart.
another.
Heart. Heart.
She's in another Netflix show produced by these people.
Um, Yasmin Finney from Heartstoppers.
Yes, she's in Heartstoppers. Yeah.
And she is the first openly trans person to be cast in a Doctor Who.
Yeah, because the character that was supposed to be trans in the Capaldi one is the actress that plays Suri, and you know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I love it. She looks, she's got a great look. She lights up a picture, and I'm looking forward to it. I may check that show out. It is about
Heartstoppers. Everybody has said it's great.
Yeah, and it just got renewed for another season, which makes me go, is she going to be around for more than the specials? We still don't know if the 60th is a single episode, a 90-minute episode, or several episodes. The only reason they're pumping out publicity is because they cannot avoid it, because they're shooting outside. They're in Bristol in the middle of the day, but there's great things. I do not think this is a flashback, because he is wearing a very, very different costume. It is all cut the same way. But I just saw a nice picture. It's not pinstripes. It's checked pants, which I like a doctor. When they added checked pants to Peter Capaldi's costume, I have never been so happy that the checked pants were back. And it's a dark blue.
It's a nice nod to the second Doctor. His hair is
dyed dark.
Yeah.
So it is, I'm assuming it's some trans blah blah in between or something or other. It's, Davies isn't stupid, and he's not going to do anything that's going to harm the reputation of his predecessor or Jodie.
Yeah.
And that, but I'm intrigued. I'm hoping 3 episodes. There's no Christmas. Someone goes, "Oh, we'll have a Christmas." There's no Christmas. I don't think that's happening. I think what you're going to get is maybe an Easter, and then then in November the 3rd, maybe. Give us 3. Give us 3 90-minute ones, man. Just go whole hog, because I love their 90-minute format for their mystery shows. And this final Jodie's going to be a 90-minute. So go whole hog. You got Neil Patrick Harris. Someone asked me one. He said he's gay, and he's working for a gay icon, Russell T Davies, when it comes to television. And Neil Patrick Harris works in television, and he's one of us. Neil Patrick Harris is a sci-fi nerd and a musical theater nerd. He's a nerd. He just makes a lot of money being a nerd and getting to do, you know what I mean? Because I've always liked him ever since the Mint. I didn't like his kid show because I was like, what the hell is a kid doctor? But when I saw him on in Harold and Kumar, and I saw how he thought of himself, how he could, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, let's have strippers, cocaine. Let me just be this opposite because he does what Shatner does. Just pay me to be this, what you think of me, or what you think I should be as an actor, but I play myself. And he's got. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the Toymaker coming back. I like the concept of the Toymaker. I like the big battle. And I'm glad Donna's coming back, and Wolf is back. Yeah. And Sylvia's back. I can't wait till we talk about the years with Sylvia, because she is that actress. Jacqueline King, man. Whew. You do not like Sylvia, but Sylvia is real. There's, so. I'm looking forward to it. All right, folks. Well, that's it. Let's Vic, do you have anything you want to promote? Something you're reading, listening to?
No. I'm just trying to catch up right now. It's the end of the school year, and I'm sending my kid off to camp. It's a lot. All
right. Well, I don't have anything to promote except I've got a ton of editing to do. I'm guesting on another podcast, and once that's recorded and I'm allowed to talk about it, I will talk about it. But folks, as always, reach out to us if you have any comments. We'd appreciate it. But you can find us on Twitter at Gallifrey's MW Pod or at Runcible Report. And just till we see you again, we look forward to seeing you somewhere in time or space.